Word.
You doing it
So,
yet? You doing it yet?
yeah, I just did it. Don't
Yet? How
fart
about now?
on mic because that's weird. And you might have to smell it later if you're too close to the microphone. So,
I have never done that in my life
I actually
that you know of.
accidentally saw, well, I don't know if it was accidentally, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed and saw someone post a video of I don't know who trying to light their farts on fire. So, that's still a
I mean,
thing
that just
people
sounds like
do.
business as usual.
I mean, yeah, I guess, depending on the circles that you run in, maybe. I don't know. I've
There's
never
no such thing as
actually
normal.
witnessed someone doing that in person. So that was, and it was like the camera was right up on the butt.
I have both witnessed it and performed it.
Oh
So,
my,
yeah.
were you
I had a very
successful?
yes, twice. I had a very interesting early 20s.
Was it like a flamethrower, or was it just like a little whoo?
It was kind of like like those high school science experiments where it just flares for a second and then it's
Uh-huh.
gone.
Yeah.
Um, I will say though, for anyone out in the listening audience, if you have an excess of body hair down there, maybe don't do it.
Ooh, yikes. Yeah, I don't know. This video I saw, this guy had shorts on, thankfully. Oh god. And I just was afraid that his shorts were going to catch on fire.
Oh, yeah, no, I was afraid of the same thing, and I was stoned off my ass. So I was like, okay, I don't want to light my pants on fire, so I'm just gonna drop trowel. And yeah, I was bare ass for it.
That's
Yeah,
all
welcome to story
right.
time.
That's a mental picture.
You are welcome.
Thanks. I'm okay.
You know that's in your brain now. You have to live with that.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for.
Welcome back to the Geekly News. I don't even know what to say after that. It's just okay.
I just derailed the whole thing. Just pack it in.
I mean, but is that not the MO really
Yeah,
around
I mean,
here?
I feel like that's pretty par for the course for I mean, for me anyway.
Right.
I can't speak for anyone else.
So here we are again. Made it back. And we've got, apparently we're entering game delay season. So we're just going to get right to it.
I want it known at the outset, I called 2 of these.
Okay. So we're calling it Game Delay-Palooza, by the way.
Solid name.
You know. So first off, Cyberpunk 2077. This makes me sad. If you listen to last week's episode, you already know that I'm very excited about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the general consensus, and we're delayed. It really isn't that surprising. CD Projekt Red has delayed games extensively in the past, so
yeah, that's why I called this. I knew for a fact as soon as they put forth a release date, I was like 6 months after that. Like, didn't even question it.
I wish they would have been releasing it on 420. I mean, technically, all of April is 420 if you think about it, because year 2020. But whatever.
Year long.
Yeah. So now we're looking at September 17th. They said that the game is complete and playable, but there is still work to be done. And I imagine if it's as large of a world as Witcher 3 was or is, there's probably a lot of stuff that they need to double check.
Well, I also look at it in terms of, like, to go off current and old game development companies.
Mm-hmm.
They are essentially trying not to pull a Bethesda.
Oh, yeah.
And they are instead going the cautious route of pre-Activision Blizzard. Because if you remember, like, before Activision bought them out, Blizzard was, like, in many ways, they were the underdog. Like, yeah, Warcraft and StarCraft both, and Diablo were insanely successful, but they were still not like the multi-billion-dollar corporation they are now.
They were kind of niche, even though World of Warcraft got to be extremely large.
Very niche. Like, there's not a global demand for real-time strategy games.
Right.
Except in Korea, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
I learned that recently. StarCraft's a national sport over there.
It is.
Weird.
It's really
Really, really
serious.
weird. Like, they have, like, their stars make, like, like, the American equivalent of millions of dollars and sponsorships and fan bases, and yeah, it's weird.
In
But
general, esports in that part of the world is huge and taken seriously, which is
right.
amazing.
Like, those are legitimate careers.
Yeah. We're just
I don't know.
catching up over here.
Yeah, it's pre-Activision Blizzard, they delayed games and they made sure that it was the best possible product they could release at the time.
Mhm.
So, you know, and the funny thing is I'm seeing all of these salty fanboys on this Twitter post that are just like they're whiny. That's the best adjective I can use. They are just entitled, whiny little shits who are like, "Oh, I can't believe you're delaying this project. I paid good money for this." And, dude, no one owes you shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, and I say this to all the salty fanboys out there. I don't care what your fandom is. I don't care what your poison is. I don't give a shit. No one owes you a damn thing.
There's
So when
also
a
the
company,
the quote like a delayed game can be good, a rush game is bad forever.
yeah,
Or something to that effect.
yeah, that's from the president of Nintendo, I believe,
I believe
Mr.
so, yeah.
Miyamoto. But yeah, no game company or no production company of any entertainment medium owes you a damn thing. If they
Mhm.
want to delay their project to make sure they release the best possible product, that is their prerogative,
Mhm.
and you are not entitled to a damn thing. So quit your bitching.
The only reason that anyone should have an opportunity to complain is if they paid for a game and it never released and they didn't get their money back. Then
Exactly.
absolutely you have grounds.
Or if there was some sort of false advertising where you thought it was one thing, but it turns
Mhm.
out to be completely another,
Mhm.
even that I can understand.
Sure.
But you know exactly what this game is, exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna come out.
Eventually.
So, yeah, like, I would much rather in the age of forced releases and glitchy products and day one patches, and I would much rather they just delay the release to make
Mhm.
sure they get it right the first time.
Yeah. And related to that, so we already knew that multiplayer was going to be a thing eventually in Cyberpunk. It was originally planned for next year, 2021. So if they're delaying into September, then probably really shouldn't expect the multiplayer piece to come out until the following year at a minimum. So again, it is what it is. Would much rather get a good game than one that's completely buggy or, follows the Bethesda model of
Yeah, and
just
and
being a
and
joke.
and on that vein, I would also like to point out Cyberpunk is not the only game in existence. There's plenty of other shit you can play out there that can keep your attention until it's out and until the multiplayer comes out. Like,
There's too many games. There's
there's a
so
lot
many
of shit coming
things.
out, y'all. Why are you gonna get salty about one thing?
Not even new games.
Seriously.
We just talked about the fact that we've got backlogs in our Steam library. Go
Yup.
play all the shit you haven't played yet. Just saying. So that's
Entitled people gonna entitle.
true. That's so true. So that's number one in the delays. Square Enix also came out and said they had delays. One for their Avengers game and then one for the Final Fantasy VII remake.
The Final Fantasy one I called.
Yes. I think that was kind of expected for a lot of people. So now
Well,
that's coming out in April. So you potentially, theoretically,
allegedly.
allegedly. I like how
Bro,
we
you better
both fell on
for
allegedly.
well, I mean, any fan of Letterkenny out there is gonna fall on that word.
Right, that's true. So allegedly, Final Fantasy VII remake coming out April 10th of this year. So if you were gonna play Cyberpunk in April, now you can play Final Fantasy VII, allegedly. Then there's...
He fucked an ostrich. Allegedly.
Allegedly. That seems like a two-person job.
Now I have to watch Letterkenny after we're done recording. Ugh. Dirty fucking dangles, boys.
Oh, gosh. Then there's the Marvel's Avengers update. So that one is now expected also in September of this year.
That one makes me a little sad, honestly.
Yeah. It was actually looking pretty decent.
I am not going to lie. Once again, the show rears its head in our podcast. The only reason I want to play that game is because one of my all-time favorite voice actors is playing Thor.
Who's that?
Travis Willingham. AKA Grog and Ford from Critical Role.
Okay. I'm not good at names, so you have to give me a reference point.
Yeah, he is the giant bearded man on Critical Role.
Okay. The guy who this quote is from on my tankard.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly that. So yeah, that's 90% of the reason I want to play the game. Because if Travis Willingham's involved in it, oh yeah. If any voice actors from Critical Role are involved in anything, I will play, watch, experience, whatever.
I think that's a given.
That's just a thing. But yeah, it made me sad because even beyond that, there's actually... I like how it's almost... I think I made this joke when we first revealed that this game was in production on this podcast.
Yeah.
That they looked like the Great Value Avengers in the trailer. They look like them, but they're just a little off.
Right.
You have to do a double take and go, wait, is that it? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, all right.
I could see a resemblance.
Captain America looks like he's wearing an umpire's outfit, spray painted blue and red, but
right. I kind of get the gist.
Yeah, what I've seen in the reveals and the gameplay mechanics and all that, it looks interesting. I'd like to give it a shot.
Yeah. And it's a story-driven campaign, which is already piquing my interest. Because usually when you see that type of stuff, it's what's that fighting game? I can't remember what it's called, where it has the different comic characters in it. Something Ultimate or... No, that's not it. I don't know. Anyway.
Comic characters?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a game. I swear it is. I'm not imagining it. I saw it at
PAX.
If
it is, I'm drawing a blank. All I'm thinking of is Soul Calibur. No. Smash Brothers, obviously not.
No, it wasn't that. Hold on, I'm looking it blanking. Up. I'm looking it up.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, it's not Marvel versus
I'm not
Capcom.
Saying I don't believe you. But this may be an effect, a Mandela effect kind of thing.
No, I'm telling you, it's an actual game. Injustice.
Oh, okay. You should have just said DC characters.
I couldn't remember if it was DC or Marvel, so that's why I said comic book. Which was not wrong.
No, you were technically correct.
Okay, thank you. Anyway.
All right. Yep. Okay. I can see that.
So.
Comic book.
Avengers. Shut up. September. Moving on. Horizon Zero Dawn is going to PC. So this is the second PlayStation exclusive game in recent memory that is now going to PC. The first one, and again, in recent memory, I know there's got to be more, was Death Stranding is actually supposed to be released on PC this summer.
Yes.
So PlayStation, taking a cue from Microsoft/Xbox, it appears, to broaden their horizons and open up to other platforms a bit more and start putting their more successful games on PC. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to release everything on PC. I'm sure it's going to still be very selective, but they are going to put two of their bigger drops in the last couple of years-ish, I don't know, on PC, which is pretty exciting. Horizon Zero Dawn already looked really good on PlayStation.
I mean, yeah, even at 30 FPS, it looked amazing on PlayStation. Like, that is still one of my favorite PlayStation games.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it was, like, if it had to be an exclusive, I'm glad it was PlayStation so I could play it, because hands down one of my top 10 games of all time.
I still
I've
haven't finished
replayed
it.
that so many times.
I will eventually. But I started it, and it was gorgeous. Those are the parts that I've seen.
Internet, harass her until she finishes it.
I'm gonna do it.
This is my challenge. That and the DLC, Frozen Wilds.
Shit, now I gotta do that too?
I mean, the DLC is only like 5-6 hours.
That's a lot of time.
Not long. It's not long.
Okay. So
I promise you, the ending to it is worth it, and it sets it up for the best fucking sequel of all time if they do it.
Okay. Do you think they will do a
sequel? If
sequel?
they'll do it. I fucking hope so. I really do. It set it up perfectly for a sequel and for like a deeper dive into the lore.
Uh-huh.
Because they're like, in true epic, like, awesome game fashion, the ending posed more questions than it answered.
Okay. Well, that's a positive. I like that.
Yeah, for every question it answered, it asked 2 more. Like, there's a particular scene, and those who've played the game will understand, there is a post-credit scene that literally had me jump out of my seat and go, "What in the fuck?"
So, do you think that they're gonna call it Horizon One More Dawn?
That physically hurt. I want you to know that.
You love it.
Like, there's a sharp pain in my side now. Just, this is it. Pack it in. We're done, folks.
You're welcome.
Oh. That's your one. That's it.
Look, there are so many numbers in everything that we're talking about today. I just have to. I can't let it go.
Horizon 2 Dawn 2 Furious.
There's Zero Dawn. There's L4D3. There's just a lot of numbers. So I feel like it's totally justified and warranted, and you should have seen this coming.
Yeah. But still, if you actually play that game to the ending, you'll know why that name makes no sense.
Okay.
Because Zero Dawn is, like, those 2 words are central to the plot.
Okay, but
Like,
then if you add one more game, then you have to, like, add +1.
No. That's not how any of this works. God damn it. Oh.
We've now entered my favorite part of the podcast where I totally trigger Jason.
This is the Annoy Jason segment of the podcast, apparently.
Okay.
Let's be honest, it doesn't take much.
Oh, geez. All right.
I'm an opinionated guy.
That's part of the gig, right?
It is. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point.
So, going back to the esports topic, there is a company that is developing new uniforms for the Overwatch League teams, what they're calling esports kits. I'm not sure what kit is supposed to mean. That doesn't jive for me when it comes to clothing and uniforms, but okay.
I mean, the only other place I've heard, I don't know, because I'm not a sports ball guy at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they use that terminology in sports.
Yeah.
I know that at least in the Army, your kit is your IOTV, your vest, your ACH, your combat helmet, your like all your gear that you need to for mission.
Right.
Like, when your squad leader says, put on your kit, that means put on all your shit.
Okay.
So it might be from that question mark. I don't know.
Question mark. I mean, it's,
or they just want to be hip and use words that like people were like, that kind of fits, but I don't know if it does or not. But I don't know enough to say anything, so I'm just gonna go with it.
Right. It reminds me of corporate speak, where they're like, Oh yeah, let me send you that deck. Talking about freaking PowerPoint. Not a deck.
All they have to
cards.
do is use the word synergy.
Right.
And the phrase, it's just about finding that balance.
Right.
Same phrase that's uttered in every corporate meeting ever till the end of time.
Right. Let me circle back with you on that one, Shane.
Oh, God. Per my last emails, corporate speak for bitch, can you read?
Right. I've used
I say that like
a few
10 times a week, man. I have to. It's a constant thing with me.
So they're going to have eSports kits, to use the lingo. It's like streetwear. It looks comfy. It definitely looks more comfortable than jerseys, in my opinion. So it's got that going for it.
It just looks like a moisture wicking shirt.
It's a moisture wicking shirt, but it's like comfier pants and the shirt. So yes, it's moisture wicking, but it's also built for different body types. So one of the things that's called out in this article is that when you're creating a uniform for a sports team, people on that team, within that particular sport, like they generally conform to a general body type. So basketball players are going to follow a certain body type. Then you've got like sprinters, or I don't know, whatever kinds of sports have teams. Baseball, they have a similar body type. There's similar body types within certain sports.
Yeah.
In esports, because it's not so much of a highly physical sport, you're mostly sitting. You have a lot of different body types in that scenario. So basing everything around jerseys that are styled for other types of sports, it felt like esports was just trying to look, we're a real sport because we have jerseys.
I'm a real boy.
Right. I mean, pretty much. But it doesn't really fit. It doesn't fit the culture. It doesn't fit the play style. It doesn't offer any benefits to the actual professional players. So I think this type of design is a smart move. Is it the final thing that's the right solution for every esports player? I don't know. But I think it's definitely a move in the right direction and helps to maybe create more of a solid image specific to esports rather than trying to do I'm a real boy thing and, prove that it's a real sport.
Yeah, well, and there's still so much, at least over here in the US, like it's a lot different across the pond.
Right.
But esports is still very much like a novel, like, oh, how cute. They're playing sports kind of
right.
And
then people find out how much money these people make and what the prize pools are and everything. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah. And then suddenly they're okay with their children being part of esports teams at their college. You can actually get a scholarship now to be part of an esports team at a bunch of colleges in the United States.
I was going to bring this up, actually. One of my boss's boss at work, who's over like the entire flight, his grandson just got accepted to a college on an esports scholarship. So yeah, like it's absolutely a thing, and it's funny because like I'm not gonna like disclose exactly what I do for my job and where I work because OPSEC, but I do work for the military still, just as a civilian, and as a result, there are a lot of older people that I work with, in their 50s and 60s, and one of them never touched a video game in his life, but he's a good dude, and one of the other coworkers there, he and I were talking something about Destiny, and he chimed in with something. This was a while ago, so I can't fully remember how the conversation went, but it ended up going into esports.
Okay.
And this older gentleman saying, well, he couldn't understand why it would be considered a sport. It's just you're sitting on your ass playing games. How it's not athletic in any way, shape, or form. So my coworker pulled up a video of like a training regimen for an average esports like professional player.
Right.
And his attitude quickly went from to huh?
Yeah. It's
Like,
no
he was
joke.
legitimately surprised at how much training and conditioning and, like, diet, and it's like a real athlete's regimen.
Right.
So, that kinda turned his mentality a little bit, like, "Oh, okay, so there is actually, like, skill that goes into this." Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
guy.
and the fact that the average person can't just roll up in front of a PC and be able to do the things that a lot of these professional players do.
Yeah, 360 no scopes day 1.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. So if the average person can't do it, I think you have to take it a little bit more seriously.
Mhm. It is a skill that needs to be honed.
Going back to this kit, I'm still uh, it's okay. So the design, going back to the whole like different body styles and everything, I like the design in that they've got like cutouts around the hip area so it can fit like different body types, especially for the ladies who play on esports teams, because that's something to take into consideration.
Equal representation.
Right. And also the fact that, you have to design this clothing based on the environment that these players are in. Yeah, they might need to be cool on the top, but maybe they need more cooling on their asses, because swamp ass when you're sitting in a chair for hours
Oh,
at a
it's so
time
bad.
is a thing.
It's so bad.
So, maybe you want to be warmer up top, but cooler on your ass. Maybe you need wrist warmers. Like, it's a different environment. And so the clothing needs to fit that, and not necessarily trying to push traditional sports clothing into this environment, because it just doesn't fit there. So I think it's
No,
smart.
and I kinda like a lot of things, I really feel like they shouldn't try to just take one already existing thing and try to force it into this.
Right.
Esports is supposed to be its own thing. It's trying to carve out its own identity. So why would they just copy paste something that
Mm-hmm.
already exists?
Mm-hmm.
This would be the perfect opportunity to create something new
Yeah.
and make it their own. Something that when you see it, in 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes for esports to like fully grab hold of the mainstream, for people to look at a thing and instantly go, "Oh, that's an esports
Right.
kit."
Right. Kit. So I think it's
We'll
good.
take it
It's
over.
creating a more of a specific visual identity for
Yep.
esports players, and for fans. You like to get like the jersey of your favorite player or whatever. I think that for fans, if you get more comfortable clothing, it's a win for them too. So
Mhm.
I'm into it.
Agreed.
And generally most gamers like more streetwear type clothing anyway, so it works.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Talking about numbers. Left 4 Dead 3. See, there's two more numbers in there. Is not a thing. You've been
3 Dead,
debated.
3 Furious. I'm just
Or
gonna equate any game that has numbers in it to the Fast and Furious franchise.
pretty much, yeah. That's how it works now. Uh, the alternate title of this, of course, is Valve is allergic to the number 3. As
Of course, that this is known.
we briefly touched on last week about Half-Life Alyx not being Half-Life 3. And now a president from HTC China, they had some type of press conference or something going on. Maybe it was like an investor conference, but they made a reference to LFD3 in one of their slides as part of their deck. And
Full circle.
every time. And of course, that sparked people. Let me also add context. It was in relation to a VR project for Half-Life Alyx. So people naturally took that LFD3 and said, what? There's a Left 4 Dead 3 in development, and ran with it. And then Valve had to say, actually, no, we're not doing anything related to Left 4 Dead 3.
We will
Sorry.
never do a game with the number 3 in it ever.
Ever. That's not a thing that they do. They're allergic.
I
I tried
mean,
to keep a straight face, but it didn't work.
yeah, just don't even try. I don't know. I'm indifferent, honestly. Like I never really got into Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
I mean,
I think it's humorous.
Right.
Like we can, even with this, we can make Half-Life jokes, which is great. Much to Mitsu's chagrin.
Poor Mitsu.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the guy. But yeah, I don't know.
I just find it
I just think
comical.
it's funny. Yeah.
So here we are.
If you're a fan of Left 4 Dead 3, sorry you got your hopes up, or if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead, I guess, I don't know.
Here we are.
But
All right.
It tain't happening.
More titles with the number 3 in it. This one's real, though. National Treasure 3 is actually a thing.
Yes. Give me some Nicolas Cage stealing some shit.
Nicolas Cage he's had a journey as an actor in his career.
He never says no to a role ever.
He clearly doesn't. But I don't even remember National Treasure 2 very well. So
I do, because I believe the second one, it was John Wilkes Booth related, I think.
Yes, it was.
Is it the second one where they go to France?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is, like, that's about all I really remember of it. The first National Treasure was just, it was wonderful. It was a masterpiece. I don't know why we would need to.
That's the thing. Like, National Treasure is great because it's one of those movies where it's clearly over the top shit.
It is.
You have to bring a hefty dose of suspension of disbelief with you because none of this shit would happen in real life, guys. None of it. But it's fun to imagine.
I wish it would. Wouldn't it be so cool to just find this treasure buried? And it's like, I love that scene where they open up the room and they find this little bit of treasure and they're like, oh wow, and they're so excited. And then he takes the torch and he lights the thing with this like gunpowder. It's not gunpowder, whatever it is in there, this powder that lights on fire. And then like all the trenches and everything light up, and then you see this massive room and there's all this treasure. And I just love that moment so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so cool? Because it's kind of like a modern Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah, no, it's the spiritual successor to Indiana Jones with more over-the-top shit and Nicolas Cage.
Pretty much, yeah.
What more could you ask for?
And it's not even Nicolas Cage in his like full overacting best.
No.
He's pretty low-key in National Treasure, if we're being honest.
Like, he brings the same level of acting to National Treasure as he did to Ghost Rider, I think.
Right. Yeah, I think
like
that's a fair
it's similar performances.
Yeah.
Not same, but similar.
Right. It is like a similar amount of energy.
Or
Speaking of, he's doing he's doing an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, Color Out of Space. And it looks really cool. It's going to be a limited release. It's very much like an art house kind of film. But
the Nicolas Cage movie that came out that I wish they would have done a sequel to. They left it open for a sequel, but they never did it.
What?
I think it's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah, I remember that one.
With the guy that played Doc Ock in the old Spider-Man movies as one of the villains.
Yes.
I loved that movie.
I liked that one.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
It's cute. And yeah, so I don't know. It's Disney doing National Treasure 3. Disney, of course, now owns like 90% of the world or some shit. I don't know. They have so much of the entertainment industry. It's kind of scary at this point. But there's National Treasure 3. Obviously, we're all going to go see it or watch it in some form or fashion eventually. So here we are.
Yeah, and they know it.
They know it, which is why they're making it. So
even though John Voight is in the movie and I fucking hate John Voight, I will still go see it.
Yeah. All right. We got another thing with numbers in it. Are you ready? We call this one Oscar Isaac in 2X2 Machina or Machina, whatever. I don't know.
Machina.
I can't say it right because it doesn't look right to me. Anyway.
You're like Ron Burgundy reading off the teleprompter.
Shut up. I'm Ron Burgundy. So Oscar Isaac, if you didn't notice, a few years ago, he was in Ex Machina, which was a very good movie, but he wasn't. If you looked at him in that movie compared to him in Star Wars, he doesn't look the same. So it's
No, he does not.
forgivable if you didn't realize that was him in that movie. But it was good. You should watch it. He is now tied to another movie. They're not actually calling it that. They're calling it The Great Machine, but it is based on a comic book called Ex Machina. So 2X 2 Machina. There you go.
It's, yeah. Second verse, same as the first.
I find it hilarious that he's in two things with the same title. Like, how does that happen? I don't. Maybe he just thought it would be funny, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna totally do that."
Yeah, considering Oscar Isaac's sense of humor, yeah, I can see that.
Right? He was like,
I can see him going, "Oh, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if I did this?"
Yeah. I don't even know what that's about, but that's hilarious. Yes, I will.
I am just waiting. I'm just waiting to see him in Dune. That is the movie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for Dune. There's going to be so many people in Dune. It's amazing. And look, I really liked the miniseries version that they did. I thought it was pretty well done. It was, one, they were able to delve into more of the story and not like gloss over a bunch of stuff because they did it as a miniseries and not a single film from the 80s, which was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like it was a pretty good representation. So I didn't feel like they totally needed to remake it. But at the same time, there's probably not a lot of people who are going to go back and watch this old miniseries. I think it was like from on the Sci-Fi Channel or something when it was actually spelled right. And shut up. It's true. Like SYFI. FY. It's so weird.
It's funny because it's true. That's all.
It is true.
Sci-Fi used to be such a great channel, and then Sharknado happened. I don't know.
And then they had The Expanse, and they canceled it because they'd rather make more terrible B movie stuff or something.
Sci-Fi is now just a B-movie channel.
They've had multiple good series recently that they've given like one season, and then we're like, yeah, never mind.
Just Firefly.
We forgot that we're not doing the good stuff anymore.
Yeah.
That's why we changed our name. Anyway.
Oh, I wish it didn't hurt so much.
Oh, I know. So, but yeah, the Dune. Can you call it a remake? I guess.
I honestly, I don't even want to call it a remake. I feel like it's going to be its own thing.
Right. It's just a movie, though, right?
Yeah, it's just a movie, I believe.
I hope they do multiple volumes. They need to like Lord of the Rings that shit. They probably won't, but that's what they need to do for that story. It's massive.
We're segueing. We're sidebarring just a bit here. Hang on. We're looking at this.
Dune is very important, people.
Dune Spice is life. The spice must litany flow. I legitimately, so my oldest daughter, she's turning 15 soon. She's been dealing with a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I will not go into on air, obviously.
No.
But I taught her the Litany of Fear.
Okay.
From Dune.
Okay.
And she came to me like a month later and was like, Dad, I've memorized it now. It is helping me so much.
That's awesome.
I was like, yeah, Dune is fucking life, people. It looks like there's a prequel spin-off series called Dune the Sisterhood. That's gonna be on HBO Max. Fuck you.
I still find it weird that HBO is creating their own like separate spin-off streaming service when they already have a streaming version of their channel.
HBO Max is their new upcoming streaming service. It's fucking stupid. This is cable. They learned nothing from cable TV. That's why people went to streaming, to get away from cable, and now they're bringing it to streaming. Like,
I know. And not only that, but it's
one
like
or two platforms.
Let's have two streaming services. Let's not just do one.
They're breeding like fucking rabbits, man. I already have like 5, and that is way too much. And I'm probably gonna cut down on that
Yeah, I
because I got
am now
Netflix, I got
taking the
Hulu, I got
approach
Disney
that
Plus,
if there's not
I've
something
got
I'm
Amazon
actively
Prime, and
watching
Rooster
on the
Teeth.
service, I cancel it because you can always renew it. It's not going to change anything.
You know,
You
I
just-
can't cancel Disney Plus because of my kids.
yeah,
I'm not canceling Amazon Prime because Critical Role Animated is coming out on that.
yeah,
Not canceling Hulu because that's where The Good Place is going whenever the episodes are done. Not canceling Netflix because there's a lot of shit on there that I like.
right.
And I'm not canceling Rooster Teeth because Rooster Teeth. Like, do I really need to explain that?
No, I get it.
Anyway, looking at this, it looks like there is no plans for future movies at this time.
Uh-huh.
There is the prequel series, the prequel spin-off TV series, The Sisterhood, and that is it for now.
Okay.
So if they are coming out with anything further, it has not been announced yet. But just so people are tracking here, this is the cast lineup for this fucking movie.
It's
All
big.
right.
That's what she said.
Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling, Oscar Isaac, Zendaya, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa. Like, holy shit, people.
They got a lot of people on this
And
thing.
Timothy Chalamet. Like that.
Like serious
Yeah.
actors and also like pop culture actors, and it's
I love that Jason Momoa is playing Duncan, Idaho. That's like the perfect role for him.
I mean, who else would he really play?
Not really. Yeah, nothing really. Like the Swordmaster of House Atreides is pretty much the only role he can play.
Pretty much.
He's typecast. It's a thing.
It's okay though. I'll look at him. So
Oh,
it's supposed to come out in December of this year, which
December 18th.
I wasn't prepared for
Rescheduled.
that.
It was originally slated for November 20th, rescheduled to December 18th.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm still gonna watch it whenever it comes
obviously
out,
we're still gonna go see it. See it opening fucking day, man.
Right. So there's a first reaction. I just was looking up stuff to figure out when it comes out. It's the first Dune reaction compares it to Lord of the Rings and original Star Wars trilogy.
So we might get some sequels. They'd be dumb not to.
It
Let's be honest.
needs it. It, like I said, it's so big. It needs.
I want to see Children of Dune.
Right. It needs.
I want to see Children of Dune.
A Lord of the Rings treatment.
Yeah.
It's on that scale.
3 movies done.
Moving on. We could talk about that a while. So
yeah, I could talk about Dune all day.
In sad news, when we were talking about our highlights from 2019, I talked about Watchmen being one of my favorite shows of the year, and it's come out that there's not likely to be a follow-up season to Watchmen. But you know what? The more that I thought about it, the more that I was like, you know what? That I'm okay with that, and it kind of makes sense. The ending to the first season, no spoilers, they still wrapped up everything. Yeah, it was a bit of a kind of, I don't want to say a cliffhanger, but it was ambiguous. You didn't know which direction something was going to go. But I feel like that kind of fits for Watchmen. And
you decide what the ending is.
Yeah,
you
pretty
decide
much.
in your own head what happened, and a lot of medium does that. And even Lindelof was open about the fact that it very well could only run for 1 season.
Right.
Like
he had a defined story that was 1 season, and that was all it was.
And this is something we touched on last week. Was I love when showrunners have a solid, complete vision day one. They know what they want to do. They know the story they want to tell, and they stop when it's told. Like,
exactly.
Don't keep milking it.
Exactly.
So yeah, like it's ambiguous enough that you can in your own head decide, okay, this is what happened.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. Everyone's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I am too. I think if someone else tried to pick it up and tell a story for a second season, it would have to be completely different characters in a different
story,
setting. It would have to
Don't continue
basically,
where it left off.
yeah, it would have to pull like a True Detective type approach where it's like it's
Didn't
related,
Fargo
but
do that
it's
too?
yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's related, but it's still completely its own separate story. I think it's harder to do with Watchmen just because of the characters that were in this season, or I guess we should probably refer to it as like a limited series now if it's just this one standalone thing.
Miniseries.
Yeah.
Miniseries
Um,
is the industry term, I think.
something, I don't know, but it would be difficult to do. So I think the smarter play is to definitely just leave it alone. And HBO has said that if Damon Lindelof, who created this limited series, miniseries of Watchmen, isn't going to do it, then they're probably not going to continue with it, which I also respect.
Yeah, that's I mean, and to the point, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the very beginning of this podcast, is any form of art, and yes, it's art,
Mm-hmm.
be it a TV show, movie, game, music, whatever. If it is media that you consume, you are not owed a thing.
Right.
It is up to the person who created that art to decide when it's over, to decide when something comes out, or if it doesn't come out.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely up to him. And if that's the decision, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
He told the story that he was going to tell, and he's done, and
Now,
that's it.
totally different if the showrunner has further ideas
Yeah.
and the the broadcasting company shuts it down.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different thing. Looking
I
at
was just
fucking
thinking
you,
that.
Firefly.
Right. Oh
Looking
my
at fucking
gosh.
you.
Serenity,
That's a totally
it,
different thing.
it did an okay job of trying to like tie everything up, but
Serenity was a 60% Band-Aid
it was. But they did the best
at
that they could
most.
do with it in that situation.
Well, even Joss Whedon said flat out that if he knew it was only going to run for one season, he would have done things a lot differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like there were more seasons planned. He had the story in his brain of what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go, and they went, nope.
Yeah. So dumb.
Still mad about it.
Same.
I will never not be mad about that.
It's so dumb. Anyway. All right. Last up.
No.
Science. Did you know that human beings could probably hibernate?
Dude, this is the best news I've seen in ages. I'm a lazy guy, right? You tell me that I can hibernate? Oh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm all about this shit.
I mean, when we think of hibernation, we think of like bears in winter.
Well, yeah, that's the only real example that most people have is
right.
like grizzly bears.
Right, which is fair. So there is a professor at the University of Alaska who has come out and said that it's possible that humans could hibernate. And, they're talking about like specific scenarios. They're, of course, still really testing the theory. So it's not necessarily like you should go out and try to hibernate right now. That's not anything that's being recommended to anyone. But what is interesting to me about this possibility is that, we've been kind of talking about people going to Mars, and it's a really long trip. And I don't know,
Suspended
science
animation.
fiction has talked a lot about stuff like cryosleep or various other names for basically putting yourself into hibernation for a long trip in space. Imagine that we might actually be doing that to travel the galaxy.
If anyone's going to figure it out, it's going to be SpaceX.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you saw the I know it's not on the list, but did you see what went on today with SpaceX?
No, I know that they were supposed to be like blowing up something to test if people could survive an explosion or.
Well, no, they were testing the escape capsule.
Okay, yeah,
like
that was it.
if something goes like critically irrevocably wrong on launch, they were testing to see if the command capsule would be able to jettison and escape before everything went up, and it was tested perfectly.
Awesome.
It was very, very exciting.
I mean, I will put out that we shouldn't like totally destroy our planet and expect that we're just gonna
Yes,
all
please, let's
peace out and
fucking
go somewhere else. But
can we like take care of the planet, please, guys? The only
it's kind of
fucking one we got right now.
a thing. Like, we do need a
But that's
place
a
to
topic
live.
for another podcast.
But
Foreshadowing.
we could go to space eventually.
Someday.
Eventually.
Allegedly.
Allegedly going to space. You're welcome.
We had the same thought at the same time and we just went for it. I love it.
So I think it's pretty cool. Also, I'm a big fan of, it's cold out or it's cold in my bedroom and I just stay under a warm blanket and sleep and don't really want to get up and go eat or do anything. So I'm a fan of the hibernation idea. If I could just get my employer to also be on board, then we'll be fine. Just like people take time off at the end of the year for holidays and whatever. We could just take hibernation periods.
Oh, I'd be so down for that.
Right? Everybody come back and be like, yeah, I feel good.
Just go to sleep for like a month.
Right?
God. I feel like I could do that now, honestly.
Oh, that sounds nice.
I don't even need to get in a cryopod.
But I would like a cryopod because that would be cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's good imagery.
Sort of related. Did you know that they can use cold to extend the amount of time until they operate on someone in like a life-saving situation? So, say you get shot in the chest and you would need to be operated on pretty quickly to not die.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's repairable, technically. It's the amount of time involved that is fatal because it depends on how quickly they can repair that hole in your flesh suit.
Right. Or like I'm sure there's
keep you alive.
Well, I'm sure there's somewhere at some point someone had a heart attack in a walk-in freezer at a restaurant.
Right.
And they laid there for like 45 minutes and they were still able to revive them.
Right.
Because, brain preservation. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know the science on that. Science internet, please correct me. But
well, that's something that they're looking at is, can we use cold to slow things down and, slow down like brain damage or, what have you, so that we can extend the time that is allowed basically for you to operate on someone to save their life. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And also kind of ties into this. So, and did you also know? So I read a lot of random articles. It's just, so I have lots of weird information in my head. Did you also know that scientists have taken brain cells? Shut up. Don't look at me like that. Scientists have taken brain cells from like dead mammals, I think it was. And they were able to revive them. And like
I did not know that.
Have activity in these like in this brain tissue, which means that what we considered death may not actually be entirely true. If we have the technology, we could possibly bring people back.
The dark side is the path to many abilities one would consider unnatural. Done.
Nailed it.
I've peaked.
Congratulations, sir. Your award is
I totally
in the mail.
misquoted it too, and I don't care.
I mean, it's fine. We got the gist. So there you go. All right. Well, that's all the weird science we have for you today.
We'll have more next week, I'm sure. Shit keeps happening.
Right. Thank you for allowing us to offer you fantastic titles and segues and puns and now corporate jargon. We're really growing our repertoire.
We really are the whole package.
Right. I mean, where else do you get all of this nonsense?
Nowhere I know.
same, but I don't go out much. All
I mean,
right.
I'm literally a functional hermit, so.
Okay, well, that is the end of the episode for this week. Thank you, our intrepid listeners and viewers, for being a part of the community, joining us on this journey. We will see you on the next one. Until then, catch up with us on Twitter at Geekly Newscast, and also a bunch of other places like your favorite podcast platforms and now YouTube. You can get links to all of that on our Twitter.
We are really spreading.
We're
like the world's best virus.
Oh, I have a story about viruses, but I'll leave that to another time. Thank you.
Gotta leave you in suspense.
Till next time. Peace.
Bye.